Hey, we're on?
Yes, we are.
Awesome.
Okay. So today's date is?
The 27th of January.
All right. So after some technical difficulties and user error, we're back live. My name's Mike, and this is Kathy from the Warrior Healing Center. And we're here to talk about the Warrior Healing Center and 2020 and what's coming. Some of the good stuff. Do you want to start with anything in particular?
Sure. Well, I mean, just broad strokes. So last week we did our declaration of the Green Zone here at the Warrior Healing Center. And those of you in the military understand what the Green Zone is. I had to learn. Basically, the Green Zone is the safe space from which the military performs its operations, right?
Correct.
Conducts its
operations.
operations.
Kind of like the Operations Center, yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
So when I initially Googled the term, of course, there's an official green zone in Baghdad, right?
Yes.
And that comes up all over the place because I guess that's gotten a lot of attention. And of course, there's a movie that was done a couple of years ago. Trying to remember the actor, Jason Bourne guy, wasn't it? Maybe.
Yes. I'll think of it.
Anyways, yeah. So, but the green zone is the safe space from which the military can conduct its operations in different parts of the world. And so here in Cochise County, we have declared that the Warrior Healing Center be the green zone from which we are going to conduct all kinds of operations going out to help support our veterans. Cochise County has a pretty large population of veterans. However, there's a lot of empty spaces out here in Cochise County. We're in southern Arizona.
Not too far from the border.
Not too far from the border. We're a decent distance from, Costco and restaurants and
Tucson's about an hour?
It's an hour away.
And a half away.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's safe down here near the border.
It's
just
safe.
In case you're interested.
But there's a lot of space between people. The population density is pretty sparse out here.
Yeah, it's very, very spaced out.
And that being the case, we have been learning that there's a lot of veterans out and about that have kind of sheltered themselves in and done their, they've come out here maybe to get away from the hubbub. A lot of veterans have challenges with, I don't want to say with people, but for real, like with
that's accurate.
in
PTSD,
civilian life. Yeah,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
People with PTSD, we do have challenges with people. I, for one, I dislike a lot of people that, irritate me. And for the most part, people don't intend to do that. It's just because of our individualized traumas and because of the things that we've gone through. Some have gone through war. Some have seen their, partners killed in action. Lots of different reasons why people want to seclude themselves. Me, for one, I seclude myself because I really don't get along with people all that well. I take things to heart when they say them instead of understanding that it could have been a joke. Your text the other night, I was like, whoa, what was that? But it was a joke, So it's interesting that, we separate ourselves from the world. And Arizona is the best place to do it because it's a huge desert.
It's easy to kind of get lost in there. And I think, too, just in general terms, like going through military life, what I understand is that they train you to not ask for help. They train you to take care of problems and to support everybody else in your unit before you're looking out for yourself.
Exactly. Well, in the Marine Corps, it's God, Corps, and Country. There's never one time it's mention of self. So it's always to three, and that's it. And you're just kind of left to your own devices.
And I'm seeing that firsthand, that the folks that have been through that, they've learned that, and they've learned that well. They take it to heart.
Absolutely.
And they have a really hard time letting us know when they're under fire and they need support. They need help.
Yeah, they tend to seclude themselves even more so. And then they get caught up in their funk and their problems, and then things spiral out of control. And that's why the Green Zone was created here.
Right. So now what we're looking at doing in 2020 is kind of taking our show on the road a little bit. So we've got the Warrior Healing set up. We've had it up and running for about a year and a half now. We've filled the building with a bunch of organizations and healers who want to help support veterans in an array of different services that we offer to them.
Right.
And that's been a really good hit so far. I mean, it's just been kind of an obvious solution
to an
that
ongoing
nobody had
problem.
thought about before.
Exactly.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just, but once we started putting the pieces together, it just became so clear that this is what is needed. It's just a spot where veterans and veteran family members can come because they don't necessarily know what they need help with. They don't necessarily know what services are out there. They don't necessarily know what can benefit them. They just are kind of going through the steps each day and dealing with the hurdles that are presented to them. And I, as a civilian, had never really understood there's a lot of ridiculousness, a lot of stupid hurdles, and a lot of stuff that's just the way things have evolved over time. It's due to the fact that there are a lot of bureaucracies involved. A lot of veterans think that, you know, they can show up to the VA to have their problems solved, and the VA is a bureaucracy. I mean, it is a huge organization, and it cannot see individuals as individuals.
We're a number.
When it comes down to what we can do to help veterans,
Right.
and to help turn around this 22 a day veteran suicide problem, the very first step is we need to see you as an individual.
Exactly. And the Veterans Administration, the VA hospital, is the biggest healthcare system in the country. And 2/3 of the veterans are seeking help outside the VA, the Veterans Hospital, because they can't accommodate the needs. There's just not enough staff to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then when they do get to see you and get to work with you, again, it's all the politics of it. You know, a couple of people at high levels in the VA screwed up. I just read an article not too long ago. One of the pharmacists was pocketing meds and, you know, keeping them for herself. So they arrested her with over 600 oxycodone in her pocket while on duty at the Veterans Administration. I won't name the state or the facility because it's irrelevant. The point is, it's a trickle-down effect. So, you know, it all goes down to the veteran is the one that actually suffers, because what they did then is they just did a med wash. They stopped all the medications, you know, all of the Schedule II meds, oxycodones, all of those pain relievers for those veterans that are never going to have a pain-free life. So now they have to look for alternative ways to take care of their pain. You know, they went from, you know, one veteran I spoke to, he was up to 75 milligrams of oxycodone a day. And they turned him down, and, you know, they took him off it and said, 2 Tylenol, 1,000 milligrams. That's not going to cut it. But what the Warrior Healing Center has is they have a whole lot of, an array of holistic medicines that they're using and different methods.
Well, and it's a whole bunch of treatments too.
Exactly.
It's not even the chemicals.
Yeah. It's not.
Tapping therapy. It's group sessions. It's art. It's
drum circles.
Flute circles.
It's
service dogs.
Engaging the veteran, you know, to take their mind off of their pain. Really, take their mind off of their traumas, their problems. You know, when I first came here, you know, I didn't mean to stomp on you, cut you off there, but when I first came here, I went nowhere in town. I still don't. I go here. You know, the only other place I go in town is if I want to really get aggravated, I walk through Walmart. I know. Every time I do a live stream, Walmart will be in there for some reason, because it does test everybody, you know, to the nth degree as far as their nerves go. You know, there's just a sign that says, "Idiots welcome."
No, it's
I don't
just
know.
one of those things, I think, where if you're not aware or you're not thinking, you know, I think civilians these days are very much wrapped in their own bubbles of activity.
They are.
That is very, very evident at places like Walmart.
It is. And one of the good things about the Warrior Healing Center is that it's here to promote awareness. It's a one-stop place for all of your needs, really. You know, 50 different organizations, and there's some organizations that are not veteran organizations here as well. Arizona at Work.
Yeah, Arizona at Work helps.
NAMI is here. So
the AARP, they're helping to do
AARP.
tax preparation for, you know, tax season is just around the corner here. So starting this Saturday,
That's
February
cool.
1st, they're going to be helping folks, veterans, and as well as the regular population that AARP helps.
Right.
So they're going to help them with their tax prep.
So the idea is to create a safe zone, the green zone. People can come here as they are. They can come here with their problems. They can come here to socialize. They can come here to get help, or just to have a quiet place or a social place where they're safe, where they feel safe. One of the other pieces is to create awareness out in the community, and that's what the mobile version.
Yep. So that'll help. So it's the intent is to get out to the veterans who are a little bit more geographically challenged, because the population density is so sparse out here, and Cochise County is a pretty big county down here in southern Arizona.
And not everybody drives, so
right. So we've got about 27,000 veterans in the county, and a lot of them are, like I said, geographically challenged and potentially, struggle with transportation in general.
Right.
Anyways, so
exactly.
This will be an opportunity for us to get some of the services out to the remote areas, to the different cities. We'll be setting up at library or post office parking lot type stuff is what we're looking at doing. And so we'll be
cool.
pushing that this year to work with those different cities within the county to make that happen.
And one of the other goals is to, for me, is to create exposure. There all these veterans that are out there. They're isolated. They're on their own. They don't know that a lot of services exist for them. A lot of them are the older population that kind of just went through time and didn't know that there were services to help them, and they can use the help. The families, the caregivers, all of them, they too don't have a voice really. They get to sit home and take care of all of the problems when we come home, and we have our moments. I have PTSD. My wife hasn't had a grand time of it. It's much better now because I went through treatment, and I've got the Warrior Healing Center, and I'm working with different organizations in here as well. So it does help. Even if you're just the spouse or the significant other or a friend, you're related to somehow to a veteran. You can come here and get information, to help the veteran, to help yourself, to figure out how to better work with, the veterans in need, what services are out there to help them. And pretty much they're all here. That's the really cool part. 50 different organizations, are here. Wounded Warriors here. No, it's not.
Not Wounded Warrior.
I'm thinking of Women.
Women Warriors.
Women Warriors.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
So they're here, for the women out there, because they really have a harder time getting acknowledged, especially those with PTSD, especially those with sexual trauma. We have groups here. We do podcasts here. You can come and talk. There's a PTSD group on Tuesday nights here at 5:30 every Tuesday. There's a Bagels and Brew Thursdays from 9 to 11. It's just a socialization time. Come and just meet some people. It's really cool.
Yep.
What else is going on?
Well, Monday afternoons we do Qigong classes. That's nice. That's to help you kind of find your center. It's Eastern type of exercise, sort of similar to like Tai Chi. It's the breathing and the stretching and the centering yourself. That's every Monday afternoon. Melissa and Glenn teach that. We've got an art class happening this week. So
cool.
2 Tuesdays every month usually. Michelle comes and does art classes and gets a good following for that. They make some really cool things. Valentines are on the agenda this week, I think. Tapping therapy for PTSD. So in addition to the PTS chatting, like it's a group you guys have where people talk about their experience and share strategies, right?
My group, yes.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday nights.
Right. And
that
then
group.
In addition, we've got Donna that puts on a tapping circle where she teaches folks how to use acupressure points on the body.
Yeah. Through
And-
tapping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To tap
Yeah.
through when you have the anxiety or the challenges that
Right.
are triggered when the PTSD is triggered.
Correct. It's kind of mindfulness, trying to refocus back to the here and now and what you are actually working on.
Yeah.
She's also a minister, so if you have any spiritual needs as well, she can work in that capacity. And I did read this week that there's going to be a Bible study starting soon.
Yeah, that's starting
that's
this week
cool.
as well. That's on Thursday morning
Yeah.
that'll happen. So we're kind of seeing where that goes. But
Yeah, and that's open to men and women.
Yep,
So it's-
definitely.
yeah, absolutely.
Bagels and Brew is every Thursday morning from 9 to 11, and that's, like you said, a good chance for socialization. There's usually about 40 to 50 folks that come in through that. And
It's grown over the year.
Yep.
Yeah, when I first got here, it was, about 10, 12, 15 people, and now it's big.
yeah.
There's also the Warrior Legacy program. Come in and tell your story.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Any
really cool.
veteran or family member should meet up with Teresa Grimm.
Yeah.
She does a great job and puts together this project called the Warrior Legacy Project, where she'll tell your story and then give you a black and white photograph of yourself in front of your words. It's very,
It's
very
really
powerful.
cool. Everybody that did it last year, their photos are hanging on the walls through the hallways of the Warrior Healing Center. So you can come in and read, a little snippet of everybody's story, and some of them are really, really cool.
Yeah,
Time in service, different things they've gone through, some struggles, some positive stuff, and it's historic, really. I mean, it's history in the making, right here on the walls of the Warrior Healing Center, which is really cool.
and the story is up to whoever's telling it, whatever you
Right.
want to talk about. So
It's the real version by one person's eyes times however many people do it. So you get an overall picture of what the different generations have seen, gone through, and where they're at today.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And then on Thursday afternoon, we also have the Native American Flute Circle. So if you have any interest in learning how to play the Native American flute, it's only 5 notes. And it's amazing how soothing it is. I was a little, not so excited that we were going to have
Flutes
flute
blowing.
classes happening while I'm trying to get work done in the office. But I'll tell you what, it actually is very calming.
It
just
is.
hearing that trickle throughout the building.
Yeah.
And then there's a drum circle at the end of each week. We do that on Friday afternoons, so
is
you can
cool.
get any aggression out that maybe you built up over the week. Saturday will be the first day of the tax prep. So if you're sweating income tax season here, feel free to come on by on Saturday and check that out from 10 to 1.
Right.
And then there's also a new treatment. Jeff has been doing hypnotherapy and deep relaxation techniques. And so that's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, so I'll weigh in on that.
Yeah, please
Yes.
do.
So I was very skeptical of hypnotism, because I need to be in control and nobody's going to hypnotize me. But I want to learn I want to quit smoking, I want to be able to go places, and he works with PTSD. He does hypnotherapy for PTSD. So I went to 2 of his groups. I didn't make it this week because a lot of people were sick, but the first 2 groups he had, I went. And he walked us through a relaxation thing, and they did a group hypnosis type thing. And as he was counting us all in, it was pretty cool. It was just kind of to help us understand what it's like. So when we do individual, therapies with him, we are aware of how the process goes. So we walked through it, and he started counting us all down, and we were all relaxed. I mean, it was really, really cool. The atmosphere was really, really serene. All visualization worked well. I was able to visualize everything he was talking about. And then he told us, your eyes are really, really heavy, and you can't open them. Well, at that point, I had a panic attack, because if I can't open my eyes, I'm going to fight to open my eyes. And they were really, exactly like he said, really heavy. You couldn't open them, but I did get to open them. So, his point with that was so that we as the individual know that we are, under a hypnotic, trance, but we're still in control. And it played out for me in the form of a panic attack. But the following week I went, and I was able to do it without having any real problems. But the point is, for me, it worked. So just that little test, to see that I can be tranced. So now I know I can start working on my smoking and, working on getting out into the desert a little further. I want to climb a mountain. So we'll see how that all goes. So I'm really excited.
He uses it, I guess, really for that type of motivational
Exactly.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have trouble trying to quit smoking, or if you have
Yep.
trouble trying to follow a certain diet or get more physically active or
Right.
whatever your goals might be, this apparently is a way that subconsciously he can
Works
kind
on
of
it.
put a little bug in the brain that helps trigger you to have success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on the PTSD side of it, because all of our poor thought processes are in our subconscious, the hypnosis that he does works to put different, more positive pieces in there so that we're not leaning on those old bad behaviors that we're so used to doing. But yeah, so I'm excited that, it's new here. I jumped right on it because, anything that I can do that's not going to put a pill down my throat or, make me a walking zombie, I want to try because I want to live as normal a life as I can, as does everybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the
it's amazing to me, really. I mean, like PTSD seems to be the buzzword for sure, except that almost all of the veterans that I've talked to that have come in through the building here have some experience with PTSD.
Some form of it. And the cool, not the cool part, the sad part is they don't know it. They don't know the signs of it. Their families don't know the signs of it. Marriages break up. I had 2 marriages break up. My third one, my wife actually seen the signs and forced me, to nudge me. I don't want to say force, but she nudged me to go get treatment. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't readily stand up and say I have PTSD, unless I was told over and over again. And then once I started exploring it more, I found out, yeah, I do have all these symptoms. Yeah, doctors did try all this stuff, and and a lot of it didn't work. And all they wanted to do is give me all kinds of medications to really just knock me out so that I wouldn't do something stupid, and that's not a good way to live either,
No, and that seems to be what a lot of the veterans that we've talked to here have experienced too, is that, the requirements by the treatment that they're getting at the VA a lot of times are medication and therapy. Yeah. And that's great. I'm sure that works at times, but I guarantee that does not work for everybody. Everybody's unique, different.
This is true.
Yeah.
And the other piece I want to add to that.
Okay.
So the VA does work with veterans. Pretty much the 2 areas they work with are prolonged exposure, PE, and cognitive behavioral therapy. And those are the 2 ways they work with PTSD. And then, of course, they use the medication regimes, and then group therapy and all of that. It's all good. I mean, I will say it did get me to the point where I could sit here in the Warrior Healing Center and not have a panic attack every 10 seconds. The problem is it does absolutely nothing for the family. The family is not included in the treatment. There is no, classes for them to take so that, they understand what it is we're going through, what it is we're learning, and how to help us when we get out. So you do the program, 8 weeks, you get out, you're feeling good, I was feeling great. My family still walking on eggshells because they don't know that I'm not, the same person I was 8 weeks ago. So I learned all these tools. My family has none of them. And that's the biggest issue. And that's why I do the PTSD group, because it's families included. Because everybody is affected by PTSD.
For sure.
It's
I
not
can
just
weigh
a
in on
veteran.
that too. I mean, I didn't meet Tim until after he had retired from the military.
Yeah.
But my life every day is impacted by the PTSD.
It is.
The PTSD that he deals with. And it's not scary necessarily. It's just more of like, there's a hiccup in the day now because there's something else that we got to deal with to get past. And it's not like it's anger. It's not like he's throwing things, but
no,
his symptoms are, they impact his sleep, right? Like he falls asleep and not even 5 seconds after his eyes close, he's back commanding his troops. I can hear him clear as a bell. And it's fearful. He's fighting for his life, fighting for their lives. He is terror at 130 degrees. He's like running he's moving and he is talking while he's supposedly sleeping. So it's not restful at all. And it's scary, and I have to wake him up from it.
Sure.
And because of that fear, he wakes up. He's totally, he needs to be reoriented. He's totally stressed out and fearful and not sure what's going on and which way is up. And
he needs to be grounded, and then he can relax.
Needs to be, But even more than that, he lives with, during his waking hours, a constant level of fear. And it's just that he was in the military for at least 3 years where he was constantly having to be hyper vigilant, aware of what's going on around him, knowing what's happening, what's coming up, what that box is on the side of the road over there, what's happening by the two guys that walk into the store, behind us or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the stuff that he's constantly processing and dealing with to stay safe. I mean, that's how you stay alive.
Exactly.
In the military.
And they're real things, and I think the sad part is the awareness that the VA has been putting out there, and I'm not picking on the VA. The VA does a lot of good things. I will say that, but there are some things that can be done better. Most importantly is the suicide rate. A veteran's 22 a day, but there is, it's a very intense lifestyle. You have PTSD. Most military personnel, their daily lives are more intense than somebody else's life. A civilian that's never been in the service, we're hypervigilant, like you said.
Yeah.
We're always traversing the terrain to make sure it's safe. And we shouldn't have to do that, but we do. We're trained. But
it's exhausting.
It is. It gets very mentally exhausting. It interferes. When PTSD interferes with your life, all of these other hypervigilant things take over, and that's what happened to me. You don't sit with backs to the door. Door's over there. I'm totally comfortable sitting here because there's nothing behind me but, a bunch of pictures. But when you're out in the community, like you said, that box, it's not so much the box. Look at that guy. He's got a trench coat on in the summertime. Why is he walking in Walmart? But that's the styles today. There's people dress, goth and all the other stuff. It's their normal clothes, but for me and some other veterans, that's a red flag. You go sit in a church.
It looks out of place.
It does.
And that's what you're trained to look for. Yeah.
Exactly. So, we were going to a church, and then they have armed guards in the church now. So I didn't feel comfortable sitting in a church with guys behind me with pistols. So I left, And those are the different things that we need to learn to work through, and one of the good parts about it is I can come here to breathe. I don't have to worry about it. Everybody here knows me, knows what I'm going through, my issues, because I talk about them live. But I can come sit here and feel safe. In any other rooms, I can sit in the Bagel and Brew room. There's a massage chair in there for your back and legs. I can sit there and not have to worry about who's coming through the door because I know it's a veteran coming through the door, and I'm comfortable with that. So, some have more problems than others, but you know what? They're all here for the same reason. They want someplace safe where they can socialize, they can talk about what they want to and not be ridiculed for it, I understand, that guy's story or this woman's story. I understand, what they've gone through.
Well, that's just it. You have the common bond here too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, because the truth of the matter is that the folks that have served in the military only make up 1% of our population in this country. Only 1%. And so when you guys leave the military where you're functioning 24/7 with the people that you work with that get it, that you're doing the job with, you see them all the time, you've got their backs, you're in a unit, you know how that works, you've got that comfort level. Then you leave the military and you're kind of like thrown back into the civilian world and expected to just get back to it. Go get a job, go do your thing. I mean, you were successful in the military, no problem.
Right.
Just do your thing. Well, the problem is that civilian life is completely different, as we were just discussing. So you've got, the civilian world where we're all fighting about politics these days. We're all upset about what color Starbucks makes their cups at Christmas time.
Right.
All these stupid things that we get caught up in.
Yeah.
Because we take for granted what's going on overseas on a regular basis.
Right.
Right? And so it's hard, I think, once you leave the military, I think it's hard to get thrown back into this cotton candy type world that we live in sometimes. And, no fault of our own, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to get defensive and everything, but I mean, our community, as mentioned earlier too, we're living in our bubbles. We're worried about things that are maybe a different level of importance when you consider some of the things that are happening overseas.
Right.
you know, and I think that just makes it really, really challenging for our
It does.
veterans.
And one of the other parts, one of the other pieces that people don't readily see is a lot of teenagers right from high school join the service. So the only adulthood they know is the military, and most of them, these recent years, most of them, the only thing they know is a combat zone.
Yeah.
So now they do their tour, they're done, they get out, they don't even know what it's like to be an adult in the civilian world.
Yeah.
And that's the great disconnect. They went from children in high school, football stars, basketball track, whatever, the little computer geek, to fighting for our country overseas in a real war. And then they're discharged. Now they're 21, 22. Now they come home. Two things. They have no idea, one, how to get a job, because all they had to do was sign a piece of paper, swear an oath, and they're in. Get through boot camp, and you're a soldier. They don't know how to write resumes, to go out and interview. There was no interview process. Can you do some push-ups, sit-ups? Can you run? We're going to do some exercises. You're good. You're in. That needs to change. We got to fix that. We got to fix them coming home. We got to fix the process for when they get home. Because the other side of it is they went away a child. Somebody's son and daughter, somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend, and in some cases, husbands and wives. But then they come home. They don't know what they're doing in civilian world life now because they're over there fighting a war. But then the people at home learn, especially the wives and the husbands that are the civilian side of the family, they created their life with their service member away. And now all of a sudden their life is turned upside down because now they're in the house 24/7. Well, now I'm not in charge anymore because the main breadwinner's home and he's the service person or she's the service person. Now what do you do? So you get an idea for some of the things that go on, that there's really no recourse or nothing to
There's no guidebook
resolve
for it, right?
Exactly.
There's no this is how you manage these situations.
We all get out. Now times that by every single veteran that gets discharged and comes home. That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And times all those families. Look at the divorce rate for veterans. While you're in the service and you're working, they're really not getting divorced all that much. Come home. Look at the veteran divorce rate. And it's because of that huge disconnect. People really need to see that.
It's a big variance
mess.
in lifestyle for sure and understanding. So
Yeah.
So I think that too is one of the biggest things that the Warrior Healing Center has brought for some of the veterans is just the community feel again. We are trying to put forth what you had when you were in the military. You can serve as a unit here. And the mission's a little different now. The mission is, let's help our veterans. Let's fix these problems. Let's give them the support that they need. At WHC, we're listening to our veterans. We're finding out, hey, what are the needs? Mike, what kind of program would you like to see here? Yeah. What can we do to help get that up and running? Because they're the ones that know.
Right, and not to be funny or nothing, but we're the ones with the experience.
Yep.
And in my case, luckily, I did have some education, and I wanted to start a group. My group, I'm not a therapist or a doctor or anything of that nature, but I'm real life experience of what PTSD is. I'm real life experience of somebody wanting to fight back against it. 20 suicide attempts, 30 hospitalizations was my history. And I would rather be sitting behind this desk or out on the street with a handheld camera trying to help that next person not get to where I was. I want them to get to where I am before that happens, and that my biggest push is the suicide rate. We need to do something to really, really stop that. And it doesn't happen. I have papers here, which will be Wednesday's live stream, 2 days from now. But the big push is not the weapons that people use to kill themselves. Okay, there's an article here on my desk that talks about guns, and they're wanting to take veterans' weapons away. Okay.
Oh, see, now you're leaving a teaser.
I know, and that's exactly it. You know, you take a veteran's weapons away, there's 120 weapons for every 100 people in America. So you're not really accomplishing anything. But my point is this. We need to do something long before the person puts whatever instrument in his hand to take his or her life. You know, it doesn't start there. That's too late. We need to get back to the root cause, you know, help the veteran understand, you know, one, the community cares, and that's what we're out here trying to do. You know, the community does care, but a lot of the community don't know how to care. So we're trying to educate them, you know, how to be a part. You know, everybody, I've seen people come in here, civilians, wanting to do something, but they didn't know what to do.
Yep.
You know, they want to volunteer, they want to, you know, just cook, they want to do all kinds of stuff, but they're not sure how to do it. And this is a great segue into closing, because you can call here and ask, you know, so you have a passion to help or learn more, or to become more familiar with, you know, how a veteran's life what really looks like in the civilian world. You know, educate yourself. Come on down to the Warrior Healing Center and just talk to people. Bagels and brew.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut you off a little bit and just say, you know, we've decided we don't support veterans here at the Warrior Healing Center. Supporting veterans is what people have been doing for years, and look at where we're at right now. We're at 22 a day taking their own lives. Or if we want to get, you know, more specific and talk about the numbers, the most recent numbers that the VA's put out. In September of last year, the VA said that in the last 10-year period for which we have numbers counted, so that's 2008 through 2017, at least 60,000 veterans have taken their own lives. Now, in all of the numbers, all of the research that the VA does, all the counting that they do, they never define the term suicide. And understandably, right? I mean, they really are limited. They can only count the deaths as suicide if they know that there is an intended purpose to kill myself. And that is done with a letter, a note, and these also have to be people that are reported as veterans. So there's gray areas all over the place. But there are areas that are not counted. Drug overdoses are not counted. Vehicular accidents, one-car accidents are not necessarily counted.
Suicide
Jumping off of
cop.
a bridge or death by, what's the one that we always joke about that I'm totally drawing a blank on right now? Misadventure, death by misadventure, where the coroner uses that perhaps to protect the family from any stigma that's attached, or, you know, just to try to make things easier and sweep it away a little bit more. So we know that number of at least 60,000 is probably terribly underrepresented, but that number should make you stop in your tracks anyways, because 60,000 is a huge number. That is more than the number of service members killed in the entire 20-year period that we were involved in the Vietnam War.
Correct.
So to us, we're at war. We are at war with an invisible psychological enemy that we need to come to grips with, and we need to do better. And so that's what we're doing here at the Warrior Healing Center.
Exactly. And it needs to be done, you know, and I thank you guys, Tim, you know, for getting this going, because, you know, without it, I'd still be sitting on my back porch doing nothing, you know, wondering if when somebody will come up with something that I can do, you know. And now I have a purpose, you know, and it's really cool, because without a purpose, there's no reason to be here, you know. And a lot of veterans go through that because they isolate themselves and they can't find a purpose. You know, when I'm left to my own devices, I can do more damage to me than the next person can, you know. And that's the piece we need to get away from.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So if you're interested, check us out. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube to some degree. We've got the videos there. We have a URL that is still under construction at the moment, but it's www.warriorhealingcenter.org. And then also feel free to give us a call, 520-221-4093, if you are interested in checking us out, learning more, volunteering. We'd love to have you down here.
Yeah, and we'll, in the next month or so, month and a half, 2 months, we'll be out in the community in your area. talking to you. So
All right.
pretty much that's it. And we'll see you. I'll see you again on Wednesday. So thanks.
All right. You going to go cut it?
I'm going to cut it now.
All right. Thanks, everybody.